Welcome to the Cosmic Connection. What you're about to hear and see may well disturb you, but please keep an open mind. You may find that the information offered on Cosmic Connection differs from anything in your previous experience. The views and opinions discussed here are not necessarily those of the organization broadcasting this program, and they are certainly not endorsed by the government of this United States of America. Our government continually seeks to suppress the investigation of unidentified flying objects and all other subjects of a like nature. These opinions, however, are not the views of hucksters or charlatans trying to exaggerate the importance of the message in order to exploit the public for their own gain. On Cosmic Connection, you'll see and hear from honest, thoughtful people whose only desire is to understand the remarkable experiences they've been party to. To shed light is our motive here, and in that spirit, let me now welcome you to the Cosmic Connection and to your host, the Cosmic Connector.
What I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cosmic Connection. We're here in Portland today. We have a author and a movie script writer, am I correct? Author Whitley Strieber.
Yes.
Mr. Strieber, welcome to Portland.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir. Today you're signing, autographing your brand new book, Breakthrough, The Next Step.
Yes.
Your new book, this is the third book.
Yes.
With Communion and Breakthrough. The question that most gets asked to our audience on the program, why is this happening? Why is the abduction experience going on?
I think it's happening for two reasons. I'm not at all. I think it's happening because we're ready and because somebody is here. I'm not at all sure that something like this hasn't always been happening. That it isn't simply a matter of the way we see it now. I'm also not sure that it represents necessarily alien contact as that is generally understood, or that it represents that the abduction experience is an entirely accurate description of what happens. I had an abduction experience, and I wouldn't deny that to my mind that I described that very accurately in Communion. I think that we're still struggling to understand this in some very, very basic ways. However, I do not feel that I want to raise any implication that I think, oh, the abduction experience is false and that it's really all sweetness and light. This ain't all sweetness and light. And the fact that people are producing a narrative that difficult means that this is a hard experience, whatever's really happening. It can also be a valuable experience. It has been for me. And I think that what I'm hoping that this will do is to help other people find the value in it as well.
Very good. Following that, another question is what do the aliens want, the visitors? What do they want? The question of DNA genetic manipulation has come up. John Lear claims or has stated that it's very possible that human beings are the containers or souls. Any speculation on this?
Well, there's a lot of questions in that.
Sure.
First,
let
me be as exact as possible. What do I think the aliens or visitors want? I can only answer that in the following way. Whatever they are, they clearly want to be with us and to do something involving us. That I know. Beyond that, I think that there's lots of different levels of speculation. What they appear to want from me and my experience with them is that I would come into relationship with them in a way that I'm not in relationship with anyone else and never even thought you could be. To share myself with them more profoundly than I thought that sharing was really available and yet this is what they seem to be trying for. In general, they appear to be putting us under a great deal of pressure, and whether they want this or not, that's going to do the same thing to us that pressure always does. It is going to cause a strengthening response. We're going to respond in some way, or we are responding. In that sense, the experience of being with them is an evolutionary experience. With regard to what John Lear said, it's a very interesting and very profound comment that he made. I'm familiar with the comment. And the suggestion, out of all of the fear and trembling that accompanies most of what John has to say, and perhaps justifiably, perhaps not, there's also an undertone of a completely different approach to the whole idea of spirit, in the sense that we may be receptacles into which they somehow inject themselves in order to experience and taste life. It could be that that's a more modern way of describing the awakening of the soul. I'm not sure.
Wonderful. My co-host Dennis has a question for you, sir.
Yes.
When we were speaking earlier about the creation of the half-breed race, I detected you had a resistance to the idea of that actually happening based on your feeling that that would not be along the lines of their aims. I find that hard to believe, because to me that comes off a little bit of terrestrial chauvinism, to where people that can't understand something, they can't believe it would happen. Like some people can't believe the aliens would even come here. They say, well, why would they be interested in us? And since they can't understand that, they throw out the idea. I don't see you as a person prone to any sort of terrestrial chauvinism, so couldn't you accept that since there are literally thousands of witnesses that this does seem to be happening, women that have seen their half-breed children, that perhaps it is happening along their lines, and maybe we just don't understand what the product would be?
My response to this is twofold. The first response is, I see myself as capable of making every mistake that can be made with this experience. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if a great deal of terrestrial chauvinism hadn't crept into my thinking about this. I struggle with this constantly. I trip and fall all the time. I'm not really resistant to the idea at all of this possibility, and of even it being something highly to be desired. What concerns me is that we're going so far from the empirical evidence. The whole problem with this experience is that there is a vast and incredibly complicated issue of narrative evidence, of stories, and just the tiniest little thread of empirical evidence. And so what I try to do, and what I tried to do in my own experience, is to make bridges with the stories that were verifiable only, and multiple witness experiences and things like that. That doesn't mean I disbelieve this. What I'm concerned about is going too far before we have enough evidence in a given direction.
Going too far out on the limb.
Out on a limb. But I would say that there is so much material about this in the narrative that it has to be addressed very carefully and very objectively. It's a limb that we need to go down, definitely, but just not too far before we have more evidence.
So you're saying you agree there's a lot of smoke, and there may very well...
There may be some fire, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah.
One other question. You mentioned a relative, your father or uncle?
My uncle, yeah, Edward Strieber. Well, my Uncle Mickey was at right field when the debris and biological materials were brought there in 1947, which he told me after communion, that led to the writing of this book, Majestic. And I mentioned all of this in Breakthrough, and he introduced me to Arthur Exon, General Arthur Exon, who was also involved in that. I don't know the degree to which my uncle was involved, and it may have simply been through his friendship with General Exon that he knew about it.
Do you know what information he contributed to Randall and Schmidt's books?
Exon? I've
No,
read
your uncle.
None.
None. Oh.
No, my uncle asked during his lifetime that he not be introduced to anyone. He would speak only to me about it.
I see.
And General Exon, after some discussions, agreed to be introduced when I told him. I thought Stanton Friedman. I said, I'll tell you one thing about the UFO community. It's all over the lot, but boy, these guys are working hard. And if you want to do something, talk to them. And they're not going to bite you. And soon I heard he was talking to Randall and Schmidt, and I thought it was great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Was your uncle able to see your success in
Yes,
the
he
beginning?
saw he saw communion, and he saw the book and the stuff in Transformation. He did not see this.
What?
He was an exceptional man, a wonderful man, and an incredibly honorable man, one of the most honorable human beings I ever knew in my life, a man whose honor was just part of his blood, the kind of guy who just basically never lied or did anything like that. He had a terrific sense of humor, too. He could certainly play a practical joke or prank, which my father could, too, but this is no joke. I mean, he was really serious about this. And it's interesting, he also said that he was aware of a paper that had been written in the mid-50s by a scientist whose name had von in it, whom I take to have been the physicist, Dr. John von Neumann, who was chief of the Atomic Energy Commission, and that this man had said that whether these beings are from another dimension or not, that they need our acknowledgement in order to impress themselves on our reality, and that this paper was the source of the whole structure of the cover-up, that the cover-up has two levels of resistance. One is denial, and that was what worked for years, and now that the denial is breaking down, the second level of resistance is fear. That a great deal of fear will be spread, because if people do not deny the visitor's existence, then being afraid of them is going to slow the process down, as it obviously has.
Well, how about with the Walt Disney Alien Encounters exhibit at Walt Disney World, also with movies such as Communion, Roswell, the softening up of the blow to the human race of the existence of extraterrestrials. It's going on now
The other
in leaps and bounds.
the other side of the coin is that I have discovered from my own experiences that we needed the secrecy. We needed the
A lot of
cover-up.
people would agree with that.
Absolutely, but I think that we're needing it less and less, and my guess is that it will fade away as time goes on. And I would also say, as I say in the book, that some of the people who did this, were working on this cover-up, have told me they were doing it out of patriotism. And I really argued with them about that. And my attitude was that you're not. I mean, you're not patriotic at all. But I think that might be true, because after all, the cover-up could be ended in an instant by the visitors, and they don't end it. Therefore, they acquiesce in it.
Well, could that be because maybe being patriotic would be that they realize the need to make the aliens an icon in our culture, rather than our culture being absorbed by the aliens' culture? And I think they've successfully done that, because that little face on your book, I think you could show to anybody today, even the most hardened skeptic, and they'd immediately recognize it as an alien icon.
Right.
So I think they've successfully done that.
And I've wondered what would happen if the visitors showed up and looked completely different.
Sure, like the reptoids that you were speaking
Or I've also thought to myself, what if we're wrong? There are no visitors here. This whole thing is totally a mental production. But aliens do show up for the first time. They're going to have a very interesting experience trying to deal with us if that happens.
Sure.
And speaking of breakthrough, for our viewers who are familiar with your earlier works but not familiar with this work, could you give us a brief summary of what areas this book covers?
Yeah, this book covers 3 areas. The first area is this. What are the visitors doing? I got proof in 1989 that was satisfactory to me that this was external to the human mind. This is not internal. and it was active and intelligent and not just a natural phenomenon, but something alive. So my attitude was, if I'm going to ever write about this again, I've got to know what's going on here, or at least get some idea of it, and I want them to tell me what they want to about what they're doing, but I'm not going to just take it. It has to be constructed out of multiple witness encounters, or it's not worth anything. And over the years, that's exactly what did happen.
As we were discussing earlier
Yeah.
on the half-breed thing, that's why you're trying to stick closer in on
Yeah,
the branch.
on the branch, yeah.
Okay.
But not to say that because I'm doing that I want to cut any branches off.
Sure.
What I don't want to do is cut branches off. It's exactly the opposite. The second thing is, I worked in the government thing a little bit on it. After my uncle made it clear to me that it existed, and then in 1990 a congressional aide came into my life, asking questions about the cover-up on behalf of some congressmen who were concerned that it was illegal, that illegal activity was taking place, that the American people were being illegally propagandized. And he asked me many questions, and I always gave him full and complete cooperation. I do not know what the outcome of his work was, but he was kind enough to offer me an interview for this book, in which he says unequivocally there was a cover-up. He also says that the Project Mogul balloon story explaining Roswell is not true. And interestingly enough, he says that if it isn't true, and since it isn't true, it's also an illegal act. The Air Force was illegal. It was not legal for the Air Force to do that because it wasn't done with the approval of Congress. That makes it specifically against statutes.
And that's not even the answer that Congressman Schiff asked for.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He was not asking about UFOs. He said, where's the records?
Yes.
And that's not what they gave. They gave him speculation.
The speculation, yeah, exactly. The third area that it's about is my own personal response to it. Now, it's a tough experience. The visitors are hard to deal with. I am not interested in just sitting on top of my fear and not changing and not growing. I'm here to grow. I'm here to make use of whatever my life throws in my direction to turn it on into something that works on my behalf. And this is the story of how I tried to turn that terrible fear into something that belonged to me and that made me stronger.
Outstanding. Well, Mr. Strieber, we thank you very much for your time. You've been very kind, and this will air July 15th.
Okay, well, thanks for having me.
And we will have your book on our program, as with all the other authors and guests that we have. Sir, we thank you very much, and good evening, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. way back in the loose sweat jacket.
The gentleman you mentioned who gave you an interview for your book regarding Roswell, is that from first-hand information or documentation or what?
He asked us again about Roswell, and I really answered the question when I answered the question about Majestic earlier, so I don't want to go into that again.
No, the fellow that gave you the interview,
Yeah?
he stated it was real. How does he know that? Was it
I don't know. I don't know. But his level of clearance is such, he could have walked through very easily walked into the containment, wherever it may be, and seen the debris himself.
Thank you.
Okay, I have room for a couple more questions, and I know there are a lot more than that, and I'm sorry, the gentleman here has been working a long time, so.
My question is, when somebody...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cosmic Connection, July 15th, 1995. This is our second anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. We're very proud to be doing our number 40th show for the Portland audience. You may dial us at 667-7434. Without any further ado, we hope that you enjoyed that Whitley Strieber interview that we were able to capture Whitley Strieber at the Gateway Tower Books in the Gateway Plaza out there. During the week of May 20th to the 26th, 1995, time 5 to 6 p.m., place Tigard, Oregon, a gentleman looked out on his deck enjoying a reading session when he looked towards the east at 120 degrees, compass heading at a quarter off the horizon. He noticed a bright globe or orb hovering in the sky. The time was between 5 and 6 p.m. He is not sure what day during the above week it was. He ran to grab his camera and snapped off 3 photos in succession of what we have here to show you. The gentleman was kind enough to bring these photographs down for the Cosmic Connection. He also viewed the object through 735 binoculars. The object was emitting red, silver, gold, and floating like a leaf as it ascended into the skies and disappeared. The period of the sighting was 2 or more minutes. The object was solid with a fuzzy outline and seemed to change shape as the photo shows. May we show those photos now? A check with the local U.S. Weather Service showed that no weather balloons within the vicinity of Tigard, Tualatin during this week. May we show those photos? And these are taken by a gentleman named Ron. Ron, welcome to the Cosmic Connection, sir. You want to explain how these photos were taken and what alerted you to these?
Well, actually, the first photo was the first snap that I got off. I had just been out on my deck and happened to notice something shining in the sky. Ran inside the house, grabbed the camera, and also had my binoculars, and snapped off in a succession of 3 photos. And the first photo that the camera is on, it's a very small orb, or as you say, globe, and it was floating like a leaf and seemed to be emitting different colors, kind of a red, gold, silver, and it was also highly reflective. The second photo shows it ascending straight up, and it was more of a floating matter, hovering. And the third photo, within probably just a few seconds, it disappeared straight up into a cloud bank.
Now, this is not the first time that you've photoed aerial phenomenon, is it?
Last year on 26 September of '94, I also photoed a similar object in Beaverton.
I recall we showed that photograph of the Beaverton photo on the Cosmic Connection. We want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
We have another report that you have here, June 2nd, 1995, 3:45 p.m., Tigard, Oregon. On June 2nd, 1995, at approximately 3:45 p.m., a black disc was spotted traveling 2 to 3 times faster than normal air traffic in the easterly direction. Compass heading 120 degrees corrected from the BBS Hangar 18 report, as it had come from the west at 290 degrees at a high rate of speed. The disk was about 45 degrees off the horizon, below the cloud deck approximately 2 to 3,000 feet altitude. Within a minute or less, a fighter, AC, air control, is that correct?
Actually, aircraft.
A fighter aircraft, later confirmed by approach control as an F-16, was spotted pursuing the object at a high rate of speed. Also, both disappeared from view heading to the east. At 4:30 p.m., a military chopper, possibly Chinook class, with a refueling boom, was seen coming from the south 220 degrees and veered towards the fighter and object at a high rate of speed. Altimeter 500 feet, visual about 1 minute, color dark green or black, no noticeable lettering or number markings. On 6/5/95, a call was made to Hillsborough Tower and was referred to approach control. There was 2 F-16s in the air on the 2nd of June 1995. This was confirmed by the tower as well as approach control. Spoke with a, quote, Jim at approach control. No UFO reports came in, but did confirm the F-16 in the air at the time of this sighting. So, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a hotbed of UFO activity in the Portland area. For those of you who would like a list, I've received this from a well-known author in the Oregon area. This is sighting reports of Peter Davenport at the National UFO Reporting Hotline in Seattle, Washington. There are some 20 reports here, very interesting, very fascinating, and also a follow-up on the black spot that I believe the Ron gentleman brought us in. Maybe coincidental or...
Actually, that one there was dated, I believe, 5 March. I was surprised on
Yes, it is, the 5th of March, correct.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see that because my report was submitted to the BBS Hangar 18 on June 12th, and then I received the observer there at a different date after that.
Right, okay.
That's surprising.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to Xerox copy of this, you may send it to, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Cosmic Connection. We'll show that post office box up on the screen there for you momentarily. It's P.O. Box 86186 right there. I understand we have a call. Let's take that next call. Hi.
How you
First
doing?
call of the of our season here. Hello.
How you doing today?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Cosmic Connector here. Hi.
How you doing? This is Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody else seen any lights in the sky lately. I've been camping up in the Cascades and still seeing them.
Is that right?
Yep.
I do believe that you did send me a drawing of some sorts showing us some objects.
Yeah, there was one about the end of April, I believe it was. It was heading in the northerly direction. It kind of veered off west, and it didn't really make an arcing curve. It kind of made straight line turns like it was following the contours of a stop sign.
Sure.
And then it did sort of a up and down squiggle thing, and pulsed, got bright and dim a couple times and shot off. And there's been others going back and forth still.
Now, how's the season been for you so far? I know it's warming up in the Cascade areas. You do go out to look every now and then. And what have you seen other than this particular sighting that you wrote to us about?
Well, I've seen others. Probably about May, middle of May. I've seen one that was heading southbound. It had its path crossed by 2 others going northbound. They're about 30 seconds apart. This past week I've been up in the woods. Thursday night was about the only real clear night that I had to watch anything, and I didn't really see much that night, just a few non-eventful going north and south.
Now, Tim, before we wrap it up here, what about the skeptics out there saying we're seeing satellites or shooting stars?
Well, from my understanding, most of the satellites are in a synchronous orbit. Shooting stars, they usually burn out after a little time. What I'm seeing is covering the whole horizon from north to south.
Wonderful.
These things, they slow down, they speed up a little bit at times. They pulse, which, I mean, they get bright and dimmer. They make kind of strange turns, and I just don't think that there's any planes or satellites up there able to do this.
Well, we're going to have to get together and take a camera out there and see what's going on.
Sounds good. Some nights there's more activity than others, and like I say, we just have to take the chances and get up there. But it's pretty much a nightly deal. You sit out long enough, you're going to see 1 or 2.
Well, you've been giving us reports for the past year now, I believe, since from last season in the summer. You said there was activity going on.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people out there who've written to the Cosmic Connection and have signed on with our BBS. And I'd like to say, ladies and gentlemen out there with the modem and computer, if you'd like to sign up on the BBS, we don't have that on CG today, so get a pencil and paper for Hangar 18. And that's, the number is 771-9008, and Dennis will be happy enough to put you with a clearance to look over the information that we have on our UFO bulletin board service. Jay, hello, my friend.
Hello, Cosmo.
How are you today, buddy?
Real good, real good.
Now, Jay, you've been busy. I understand there was a little meeting last week up in Seattle.
Yes, we
Some
had
local
the...
dignitaries were up there.
We
National dignitaries.
Indeed, we had the annual International UFO Symposium up in Seattle at the Red Lion Inn, and we had quite a few speakers, including Michael Lindemann, who's been on this show 2 times, talking about Millennium Madness. We had Stanton Friedman talking about Roswell Revisited, and Linda Howe, who has also been on your show.
Yes.
Talking about animal mutilations research grants. And our own Katarina Wilson talking about the alien jigsaw. And she really brought down the house with her revelations on what's truly going on with the abductions. Interesting to compare Whitley Strieber, who was just on your show,
Yes.
and really getting some pretty good information out.
Well, I do have a letter here from Miss Wilson stating that she appreciated the Michael Lindemann program, and it would be our pleasure to have an interview with her sometime, speak with her on the phone, whatever her busy schedule allows her to do. She's more than welcome, and I believe the Portland audience would like to do that. Now, Dennis, we have a full studio in here, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis, hi, buddy.
Hi. Hey, as long as we're on the subject of the MUFON conference, we could go ahead and take a look at some of the photos. These are clips taken from the alleged autopsy film taken in June of '47 in New Mexico.
Now, this is the Ray Santini film.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been hearing about it on Art Bell, I'm sure. If you've attended the Seattle conference, as Jay did, we're looking at a photograph on your left screen as depicted in the book UFO Crash at Roswell.
Correct.
By Don Schmidt and Kevin Randall. And the picture on the right is?
An actual photo taken from the reel of film. And Kodak in Los Angeles has verified that this is 1947 vintage footage. And a pathologist that's watched this film has said that all the maneuvers that were performed on the corpse were all correct. One of the things these pictures don't show is that there were big black eyelids over this thing, such as people normally describe on a gray, and that the doctor doing the autopsy removed those black eyelids, and so we're seeing the inner eyeballs on that one.
With very precision, quickly, and I might say it's been stated by Linda Howell, as she did not see the film, but has talked to people who have, stated that this operation or this autopsy went very fast, as if they had done it before.
Well, it turns out there is another body that's not as in good a condition as this one that was also autopsied, so yes, they did have previous experience. They apparently got more than one body in this crash.
Now, I understand that there are, what, 15 reels of, what, 3 to 10 minutes? We're ranging in times. Let me run this one by you, ladies and gentlemen, and Dennis and our friends here. How about this? How about if the film is authentic blank film, okay, authentic 1947 vintage Kodak film, if this was not shot later? Jay, what do you think about that theory, or Dennis?
Well, I was going to ask Dennis a question.
I mean, why couldn't someone have had 47 film around and shot over 47 blank film and had it developed?
Well, I was going to ask Dennis a question about how one camp, when it came out, says totally debunked it, and then another side is saying, well, maybe there is something to it, and it seems like kind of a seesaw, Dennis.
Well, it's just like a lot of other cases. I haven't seen any definitive proof one way or another. It's in the gray basket, so to speak, like a lot of other cases.
But didn't it seem like initially people were coming out that were totally discrediting this, and now it seems like it's going back to the other side, that maybe
Well,
they...
sure, nothing unusual in that. Happens to cases all the time.
True.
The usual story. It doesn't surprise me. Any case that doesn't get debunked surprises me.
I agree. I totally agree.
All right, boys. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call us at 667-7434, we're live July 15th, Sunday. Do we have a call? Any callers? No? All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call and get in on this discussion at 667-7434, I might add, ladies and gentlemen, that the video that you're seeing in our chroma key background is some of the newest video footage out. And Dennis, let's discuss this now. This is recent footage, not recent footage, this is footage that we've had within the last 5 years, 90 to 95. We have a phone call, is that correct? We're producing one? All right. Let's patch a line through. And welcome to the Cosmic Connection. Hi, how are you? Okay. Go ahead, Dennis, about this Mexico.
This footage, most of it originally was taken in '91, and now we're seeing footage coming out from '92, '93, and '94. They continue to have sightings down there.
All right, hi, welcome to the Cosmic Connection. Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Jason.
Jason, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Excellent, we're glad to be back.
All right.
We've been on the air for 2 years.
Yeah, I've seen you guys sporadically. You know, occasionally I'm flipping through and I see you, and you guys have been...
if you'd like to write to us, ask for a summer schedule, we'll be more than happy to send you out one.
Okay, great.
Preferably with the self-addressed stamped envelope, please.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay. My question is this, okay? I know that there was a few years back, a lot of pressure on Congress to release a lot of the information about UFO sightings and possibly downed craft. I noticed that, or I seem to notice that is really slackening off. It seems that most of the people who are pushing that are going into the closet. They're slowing down. The heat is really going off all of the congressional and legislative people to bring forth this information. I remember there was I believe, New Mexico senator who was pushing very hard to get the information released, and now he's quieted down too. I'm wondering, why is that? Does anyone have any idea why all of a sudden everything has grinded to a stop?
Well, yes, there is a GAO investigation, Jay.
By Representative Schiff of New Mexico, and...
this is the Government Accounting Office.
Right. We're still waiting for the report, although preliminary aspects of it doesn't look too good. I think there's a dual policy going on. One side wants to totally cover it up, as Whitley Strieber said at the beginning of your show, and another side wants to gradually release some of the information. I think you've seen a sea change in, say, the talk shows like Oprah Winfrey and the show Sightings Encounters and a few others. So I wouldn't say it's totally covered up. I think at the MUFON conference, you have really seen an increase of the professional people, MDs, archaeologists, all kinds of people in different fields are taking this seriously. It's almost like the Cosmic Connection, almost a grassroots movement, that we don't always have to depend on the government to tell us everything. And secondly, we know from experience what's the government going to tell us and why to begin with.
Jason?
Yeah.
Any comment?
You know, I do agree that I'm really kind of disheartened by the fact that everything has slowed down. I mean, to the general public, it has died.
Well,
no, it hasn't, because the amount of books that are coming out, information,
right? Oh, yeah, absolutely,
exponentially.
Absolutely. I mean, the information.
You're talking about the evidence, them, so to speak, landing on the White House lawn. You're impatient. You're ready for this to be broken through.
Well, you know,
I can understand that.
Right. It's the kind of thing that where it's time for it to come out. It's the kind of thing. The longer the government waits, the less likely anyone is to get any of this information.
Well, and always beware of somebody who says, I think something's going to happen within the next 6 months.
Right.
I've heard this for 9 years. As John Leary used to say, he's going to stop making predictions because he is not a very good prognosticator.
Well, perhaps even the government doesn't have the whole picture to begin with. I mean, it's so complex. And secondly, I believe it's been moved into the military corporate complex anyway.
Right.
And don't forget, the military wants to know how these things work to use as, delivery systems.
Yeah.
And secondly, the other side is the military wants to protect in case someone else figures them out and use them against us. So I think that reason alone, if you look at some of the exotic weaponry that's come out, I think, and don't forget, Roswell was almost 50 years ago, and they've, really have gone through these crafts and come out with some super weaponry that's you wouldn't even believe.
All right, Jason, we're going to take another call. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Thank you, pal. Hi, welcome to the Cosmic Connection. You're next. Hi, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to mention when you showed that drawing of the autopsy.
The drawing of the autopsy photo.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get back to that. And your name?
My name's Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, you want the autopsy photo?
Yeah, and
the
then
black and white here?
if you could put that up beside the picture of the face on Mars, there's a real resemblance there.
Yes.
Have you noticed that?
If camera, well, they're kind of busy right now. We want to look at the autopsy photo and compare that with the face on Mars, Mr. Cameraman.
Yeah, I first noticed it just on the drawing, but then
Sure.
on the photos where the guy was in the prone position there, I noticed it on those as well. Yeah, especially that one on the right there.
Okay.
Didn't that look like the face on Mars photos?
Well, it could be the way that it's cropped, but I don't.
Do you see the kind of a helmety shape there? That kind of, comes down to that kind of sloped sides there.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, I think that's the way that's cut, isn't it? You can just nod your head.
Well,
What we're talking about.
yeah,
There
see?
we are. We got the face on Mars.
I don't
Excellent.
know. I think you got separated at birth there.
Yeah. Now, yeah. And we can go between those two shots. Very good. There you go.
No, well, it's not exactly a side by side there.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we're adjusting.
All right. Yeah, they're trying to do a split screen. Huh?
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I just everybody's laughing here, but I still say the resemblance is close.
Hey, there are other things about this whole Cydonia region that we're learning about all the time. Rich, we're going to take another call since we're pressed for time. Anything else, Rich?
No, that's all for now.
Thank you very much for calling, and thank you for being patient, sir. Thank you. Welcome to the Cosmic Connection. You're next.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hey.
I was calling about the comment that was, or the question rather, that was asked about 47 film, whether it could be kept around and then reshot later.
Okay. All right.
Film that was made at that time, grain tightness was at a level that if it wasn't shot like within a few years, that the color saturation, everything would have been nothing.
Excellent.
So I don't believe that it would have been possible to hold that film around unless it was kept in absolute cold storage. Which who's going to go to that level? My question is, I noticed.
Could happen.
I noticed that there were like no visible genitalia on the full body shot.
Sure.
I was just wondering, during those autopsies, does anybody know was that a female, or do they have like some kind of completely different form of reproduction that they like discovered?
From what we understand, they do have a different genitalia. Is that correct, Dennis? Oh, female. So that's allegedly a female.
Great. Glad to know they have females, but. Actually, what I want to know is there any way to, are there like pirate copies of this film going around? How would someone go about seeing this footage?
Not yet. Just wait a few months. I believe it's going to be on Fox and.
Yeah.
It's going to be on ABC.
ABC.
Great.
ABC at the end of the summer.
Okay, great.
Rich.
Great.
All right.
Great. Thanks.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you for calling.
Hey, I'll call again. Bye.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'd like to thank Roberto Aguilera and the fine people down at the La Costa Mexican Restaurant at 7425 Southwest Barber Boulevard. They've been very kind enough to feed the crew down here at the Cosmic Connection. And I'd like to thank Francesca, Pedro, and Roberto out there at the La Costa Mexican Restaurant. They've been very kind in supplying the Cosmic Connection with various Mexican cuisines. We have members of a group here known as Father Mary. I've invited them to stop by. They're local musicians out of Portland. They play at places such as the Roseland Theater and other venues like that. Let's take another call. Hi, welcome to the Cosmic Connection.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Okay. Cosmo, this is Les.
Hello, Les.
How you doing?
Just fine, sir.
Hey, I want you to know that you just showed a picture of the alien on there. It's where there are two of the smaller ones, the grays.
Yes.
And the one that's standing above them looking down, that's the real McCoy. I've got pictures of him. I was wondering, I'll describe that guy to you. Is there anything or any way that you could do to get a picture off of that cover?
We're working on it right now. If the gentleman from outside could step inside. Go ahead, Les.
Hello.
Yes.
I've been thinking about trying to get somebody that could do a composite drawing of that guy so I could have a picture of him. He stood about 6 to 8 feet in front of me. The thing that I thought that differed from him from the grays was his eyes were on a level, more or less, rather than being tilted up.
Can we switch to that photo?
I beg your pardon?
I'm just asking the switcher if we could switch to the photo. I believe we have it locked in there for you.
Well, I don't know if I can see the rascal, Cosmo.
It's
I'm
not
in a
these
different
guys,
room
is it?
here.
Any of those?
Well, I don't know. Just 1 second, sir. Doggone it, we're tangled up here with something.
You're saying that this photo depicts...
No, I think we're going to make it, Cosmo.
How about those guys?
No, not them. There you got him. It's the top guy.
Oh.
That's him,
fellow.
identical. Well, almost identical. The cheekbones are a little wider across.
Now, you have this on video?
I've got it on video, but it's a son of a gun to try to locate. I would go into more detail with it when I see you next.
Sure.
But his eyes there are tilting a little bit too far up. I know when he looked to the left and then he looked to the right of me, and he turned about halfway to what he was looking at, and then his eyes flowed fluidly off to the left. And why are you waving at me?
Okay, go ahead.
But this is a very unusual type being. He had those big eyes. He does have the ears. His head is a little broader at top. It goes down to the cheekbones, and the cheekbones go into, you might say, his teeth. His mouth and chin are about 2 inches wide. His neck is about that wide.
Yeah.
It's 6 to 7 inches long. It goes down to a very small body. His shoulders are quite a bit wider than the chest area. And
okay,
the
well,
arms...
I'm pressed for time.
Okay, well, that's it. I was just wondering if you could fix me up with
touch.
Huh?
We will keep in touch, sir.
Hey, you betcha, Cosmo. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bye-bye.
And I look forward to looking at that video. All right, gentlemen. You have members of, like I said, the local musicians of Father Mary. Come on up here, guys. Hey, Lance. Hello, Lance. Right over here. Steve. Hello, Steve and Brian.
Hi, Cosmo.
Hey. Hi, guys. I understand you guys are part of Father Mary. Is that right?
That's right.
And where are we going to be playing, guys?
July 22nd at the Tombs, which is on 34th and Division.
Now, that used to be known as another establishment?
Dooley's.
At Dooley's. Oh, I see. And that has all kinds of entertainment there, I understand.
Ladies of the Nile.
All right. Sure. All right. And that will be Father Mary, Cottonmouth, and Lid. And I understand Lid will not be playing. All right. And this outfit that you have.
This is my hat.
Uh-huh.
Silver Fox.
Silver Fox. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, Father Mary has elected to hand these out like other bands. You have a new CD disc out. It has some really great music on it. The artwork is fantastic. And we, on behalf of our viewers, Steve and Brian and Lance, I want to thank you very much for handing these out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to write to the Cosmic Connection, you'll see the post office box number on your screen. And we'll be happy to mail one of these out to you, or from one of the other bands that are nice enough to let us have their music. You guys are working on something else?
We got some new material that we are working on. But it's just extra songs.
Uh-huh.
We're not getting rid of any of our other material that we're adding on.
All right, and you have quite a repertoire, I understand. And we played at the Roseland Theater not too long ago, right?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
All right. All right, gentlemen, we have the two guitar players here, Steve, Lance, thank you very much, and the singer, Brian. Thank you. Flog those liberal pukes. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate it. That's Father Mary, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right, now, we're going to be back on the air in 2 weeks, and that will be July 29th at 6 p.m. on Channel 21. This program will air Channel 11, July 28th at 11 p.m. I want to thank the La Costa Mexican Restaurant once again for their fine Mexican cuisine and for making this program much more enjoyable for the audience. Soren's going to take us out of here with Far Away. Ladies and gentlemen, until 2 weeks, it's been a very fast show today. We want to thank you very much for writing. Your letters have been answered, and we're waiting for the next batch to come in. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Goodman, my friend, thank you very much. Good evening.
People die, just like traffic on the freeway of life. Some people give, some people try. Some people say they do, but they're just telling lies. Just a drifter, drifting day to day. Seen some good times, seen some bad. Some of us don't realize what we've had or what we have. All the time keeps ticking, Mother Nature cries. Some of us don't listen, have to see it with our eyes. People live, people die, just like traffic on the freeway of life. Some people give, some people try. Some people say they do, but they're just telling lies. Just a drifter, drifting day to day. Who would have thought it would turn out this way? Far away. People live, people die, just like traffic on the freeway of life. Some people give, some people try. Some people say they do, but they're just telling lies. Just a drifter, drifting day to day. Who would have thought it would turn out this way? Just a drifter, drifting day to day. Going down another winding road. Never knew I could be so far from home. Today's gone, tomorrow here's my cry. Here I stand still asking why.